good. It's all good. Living, loving, living, it's all good. I'm loving, living, it's all good. Living, living, it's all good. I'm loving, living, it's all good.
It's all good. Well, I guess I got two names. I'm Lukas on B98. Some of you know me, but my real name is Adam Cox. We are live from Wichita, Kansas. Joining me, my co-host, who is in Tucson, Arizona, who is he's the master of everything. Dr. Eric Lane. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I see that you have matched. You're going Under Armour. So Zach is rubbing off on you because you used to go like Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, Nike.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to let fashion throw me for a loop anymore. I'm going to live my life the way I want to go. I want to go in comfort. Matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up. So my wife and I were at the movies the other night, and she took a picture to put on Facebook. Oh, we're going to check us in. We're going to say we're going to see this movie. We saw the new Tom Cruise movie, right? So we're sitting there. She takes a picture, and then everybody starts making comments about this picture, about how she's all dolled up, dressed up, makeup, and nice clothes. And I got this same hat on with another T-shirt on. And when I go to the movies, I go for comfort. I go for sweats and shirts that are comfortable and a hat to keep me warm. And people started ripping on me. Oh, he doesn't dress up for date night. And I was like, look, I got nothing to prove. My wife likes me however I want to be. But if I want to watch a movie comfortable, I like to be comfortable. So it makes me happy. How do you deal with that?
Would you dress the same way? When we went to Vlade's opening up of his restaurant years and years ago, would you dress nicer for that?
Yes, I would. Because I'm in public. If I'm doing something where I'm on the radio and I'm doing public, I always dress up for stuff like that. But when it's just relaxed time with me and my wife, I want to be comfortable.
Has she ever said anything about your attire?
Well, let me just tell you this. My wife loves to get dressed up. She walks out of the house. If she's going to the gym, she's got full makeup on and she's got all this stuff. Whenever we go anywhere, we go to the grocery store, she's got heels on. I mean, she always dresses to the nines. I always wear basketball shorts and T-shirts. I mean, we literally look like the odd couple. People look at us as like, what is she doing with him?
She may like that. I mean, it just shows that you have married up.
And so for you,
it definitely shows too that you're not upset about yourself. You just say, look at who I'm with.
Yeah. I'm happy with who I am. I like to be comfortable. When I have to go to work or go to church or go to a function, I get dressed up. And I had to do so many of those that on my normal life, I don't want to get dressed up.
Do you ever embarrass your son or your wife by your dress?
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
She always looks at me and so I guess on those occasions, when we go out, I try not to embarrass them. I try to dress with it. She'll pick out the outfit and I'll wear it.
That's okay. Look, you usually dress pretty good. It's just the Raiders hat. If you could just get rid of the Raiders hat. In fact, now that we're 5 weeks into the NFL, we had a bet on week 1.
Can we erase that episode?
You had said, I think it was just the Vikings versus the Raiders. And right now the Vikings are 3-2 and the Raiders are
2-3.
So it's still early in the season.
Yeah.
Got a long ways to go.
Our team is playing terrible. Yeah. We'll see how it goes at the very end. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, I'm getting older, so I had to go get readers. Do you use readers yet to read?
I don't.
Those little glasses you buy?
I can't see far, but I can still see close.
Okay, so you're good with that. Okay. So I bought my first pair of readers, and I feel kind of like self-conscious about wearing those, though, out in public. Like I wear them at home, but I look like an old man wearing those, and I don't want to be seen in public wearing those.
You look like Barry. I saw a picture of you the other day. I thought it was Barry.
Yeah, I look like my dad. So I got to figure out a way to get rid of the readers. So let's talk about a couple of things in this episode of It's All Good. By the way, if you're the first time watching, we like to bring up things that are good stories or something that can help you in your life on a good path. Matter of fact, I was at the doctor's office the other day, and I was telling the lady at the front desk, she was like, I was telling her that we did this podcast called It's All Good. She goes, what? I was like, yeah, because it's so much trash on TV that we want to bring something good and show the positive things and the good things that are happening in life. She goes, where is it? And so she wrote it down. So she's actually watching right now. I don't know her name, but I should know her name. But she works at the doctor's office, so she's watching right now. So thanks for watching our podcast. One thing, Eric. So the other day, I don't know if I told you the story, but I came out of PetSmart. Went to go get a prescription for my dog Reese. And I'm coming out. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. I park my car, and I'm walking to my car, and I go to my car, and I'm walking, and I see the couple, a man and a woman, walking right by me. And they keep staring at me and staring at me. I was like, what are they staring at? And so I kept on walking and walking. As closer and closer I get to my car, they're starting to really walk really fast and coming after me. And I was like, what did I do? And I tried to open the car door and it wouldn't open. And it was not, I have a black F-150. This was a blue F-150. I wasn't even paying attention. And they thought I was trying to break in the car. And they came over and they're like, what are you doing? I was like, oh my gosh, wrong car. I'm so sorry. And I tried to apologize and I tried to be nice. And I was like, I don't know if this ever happened to you. I started laughing. They got so mad at me. And they really thought that I was trying to steal their car, probably because I'm dressed like this, that they, and the guy really was rude. And my old me, and we talked about this, my old me would have been, probably yelled back at him and said, look, I'm trying to apologize to you. I just smiled. I said, man, you guys have a great day. I'm so sorry. I kept on walking backwards. I don't think they know what to do because I think they were expecting confrontation. So I think the things that you've taught me on this show have helped me. And I felt good about getting in my car. I just kept laughing. Usually I'd be very upset.
How did you know that it was, I mean, because your car's usually taking up 2 spaces and it's usually a little bit more vertical. So, and as you're pressing the button, you're probably pressing the button and it's beeping 2 rows to the left. Didn't any of that key you off to hit you with the wrong car?
It was the weirdest thing. I wasn't even thinking about it. It was just like, have you ever done that where you got into the wrong car or you weren't paying attention?
I've done it where I'm pressing the button and I'm like, why isn't it making any noise? And I'm looking at it, oh, it's because the wrong car.
So anyways, my point is that I've changed the way that I handle those kinds of situations because of what we've talked about on this show. It's all good. Couple of good stories that I read this week on the radio show. One of them was we talked a little bit about the girl with the 3D hand who actually wanted to throw out the first pitch at of the different baseball games, and they invited her to come to the World Series and that thing. So there's another story that I read this week about a kid who he was born without a left arm, and he created these 3D limbs, and then he made them so cheap, and he got a website that it only cost $25. So he started giving them to people for free, and it's for kids that don't have limbs. So he made like a Spider-Man and a Lego and things like that. And I just thought to myself, man, here's a guy who's got a disability, and he figured, well, if this isn't working for me, and these kids are all embarrassed about their thing, that these kids were so excited about the ones that they picked out that they actually were showing their friends these prosthetic limbs. And so I thought, in life, how many times do we, think about, okay, well, what's my disability? What can I come up with to help people that I'm struggling with, right?
Well, my good friend Dave Blanchard always says when we're doing anything, the mindset should be, what can we create? How can we create it? And how can it serve others? When we're in that mindset, we're really doing the right thing. And so these people are doing that. They're using their creative abilities to think of what they can create and then how to do it. But the key to all of this is it has to serve someone else. If it just serves ourselves, it's never going to be anything that stays and for long periods of time, and it doesn't give us ultimate happiness and joy. So that's a great story that implies those 3 principles.
Love that. Okay, here's another story. So tell me what you think about this. You've heard about people who do proposals, wedding proposals. Guys get all nervous and they try to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? What kind of ring am I going to get? How am I going to do this? You see it at basketball games and football games all the time on the big screen. Do I need to make this big thing? Do I go up in the airplane and do all this stuff? So you've seen a bunch of these guys that really go overboard. And I think this is a public message for guys. If you're about to get engaged and you're watching this, I would stay away from doing these kinds of things. Like the guy who took his girlfriend out and he was flying a plane. And he said that they ran out of gas and their plane was going to crash and it started going down. And she was scared to death. And he goes, well, open the compartment and read what we're supposed to do. And she opens the compartment. She thinks they're going to die. The plane is headed down. And it opens up and, she's reading in the manual and it says, will you marry me? And so there's guys who like to shock the girls a little bit too much. Because to me, it's like, oh my gosh.
How did you propose?
I was terrible. I'm so unromantic. We were at my mom's house. We've been dating for a year. We were in the hot tub. And I was like, oh.
Like Will Ferrell in that Saturday Night Live episode. I don't know if you remember Will Ferrell.
Oh my gosh, is that my favorite? Oh my gosh. We're making... So, but I just said, oh, we should get married. It wasn't even like I had a ring. I didn't propose. It was just like, we need to get married. You know what I mean? So it was terrible. Oh my gosh, I wish I could take that back. But I'm reading about this story about a guy who, his wife is an ER nurse in New Jersey. And so he pretends he has a peanut allergy because he has peanut. I guess he has a peanut allergy. So they wheeled him in on a gurney saying that they don't know if they were going to make it. He had a peanut allergy and they wheeled him in and she's freaking out and she's the ER nurse. And they wheel him in and stuff like that. And she goes and everything's under the cover and she's freaking out. She pulls the covers down because they have to do this thing and he's holding a ring to, will you marry me kind of thing. I don't know what, I think it's cool that you go to extra mile to do that. But when you scare the girl half, crazy, is that a good thing or is that not a good thing?
Well, my wife just walked in the room.
Yeah.
And she can tell you that I made a very creative proposal. Do you remember that?
What'd you do?
She didn't speak English much, so it was a very difficult translation. As I said, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe you wouldn't mind marrying me. And she looked at me for a while as to, I wasn't sure if that was no or I have no idea what you just asked. She doesn't agree 100% with what I said. But anyway, it's 30 years next year, and
you guys are a very long time.
Yeah, I'm not into those heavy-duty proposals.
Okay, so you and I are in the same boat on that.
Low maintenance. I think if you're a heavy proposal, you better be prepared the rest of your marriage to have heavy-duty anniversary. I mean, you just made a production that's so high that you probably can't beat those. And I've always said that I think people spend more time planning the wedding than actually planning the marriage. I think they spend so much time with the fluff and the frills, and instead of understanding that has nothing to do with a successful marriage. But it is, you're right, it is. I look around and it's like, who's going to best me on Facebook? It's all about, look at me, look at my proposal, instead of, how are we going to plan out the rest of our lives together? So I'm 100% agreement with you.
Okay, here's the last point that I have today, and maybe you can help me with this, and we can make something of this. Where in life, things come full circle. We've heard that term where it comes full circle. There was a girl who, as a kid, she had cancer, and she was in this hospital in Georgia. And as a kid, it was like 3 years or something like that, and she was battling, and she kept going back to this hospital. The hospital was great for her and helped her survive cancer. Well, years later, she comes back to that hospital, and now she is a nurse in the cancer department helping kids get through cancer. So it's one of those things where somebody had helped her when she was a kid. It made such an impression on her in her life that she went to school. In her mind, she's like, I'm going to do that next. And so she actually went to nursing school, got her thing, and then she applied at that hospital. So in life, about being full circle, how many times do we do something in life where we're like, well, this happened to me, and so I'm going to make this happen to somebody else? I mean, is there a trick to accomplishing that?
I think her story is a great example of when we use life's experiences, the things that we've had in our life that we've dealt with personally or with a family or a friend that's impacted us. Those are the things that people tend to become very understanding. They become the best in the world at it. I remember hearing a similar story about a girl who was so excited for her wedding. She had planned it for months. Everything was perfect. And the night before her wedding, her legs swelled, her body swelled. She developed this very rare condition that she couldn't get married for almost 2 months. So everything got canceled the next day. It was horrible. Her trip to, I think, Africa, where they were going to go help the children, everything got canceled. She had this rare disorder, and because of that disorder, she later became one of the best experts in the world in the nursing field. She changed her major, everything, because she now understood what it felt like to have a disease that nobody understood and that nobody could really treat it. So when we use those things in our lives to serve other people, we not only become good, we become unbelievably great, and we become experts in it. So that's a great example of somebody applying it in their own lives.
So I thought a challenge this week would be something like, what's happened in our life that was dramatic? Something in our life, even as a kid or as an adult or a young adult or a teenager, we've all had at least a few really dramatic things in our life happen to us. How many of us have blocked that out and never gone back to it? And how many of us have actually faced it and then went on to help somebody else who's facing that same thing or ignoring it? I think I've run away from that in my life.
Most people do. We think that, that's the analogy of, once again, a friend of mine who talked about that bag we drag behind us is all of our flaws, all of the horrible things that may have happened to us. We don't want that to be part of us, because when we attach those to us, we're broken, something's wrong. But we can never fully become who we are. We can never serve other people until we accept the good, the bad, the indifferent, because only then can you step into somebody else's shoes. Because I had a patient the other day that talked about an event that happened in their life. I have no idea what they're feeling. And it would be hypocritical of me to say, oh, I know what you're feeling like. I don't know what they're feeling like. But there are times when people tell me things, I know exactly what they felt like because I went through that. And because I owned it, I can step in and serve them and help them. And that's why it's vital. It doesn't make us broken. We're all broken in some aspect. We've all had flaws. But as we hide them, it becomes it becomes something that doesn't allow us to become our full potential. So that's a great challenge for people to start taking stuff out of that sack. And I know some of them are real painful. We don't want to look at them. Some of them are more painful than I could ever experience. Some may need professional help. But it's just beginning to understand this is who I am, the good, the bad. This is what's made me who I am today.
Yeah, I was inspired by her story, having cancer, then going back to the hospital, wanting to work with people, and they healed her, and she's healing other people. It's like the thing that you talk about, going full circle. So let that be your challenge this week on It's All Good, and then we will see you next week.
It's all good. It's all good. Living, loving, living, it's all good.